We like to inspect our trees at least once a year, and a lot of times we'll do it in the fall as we're going around to do any kind of pruning that might be necessary to get rid of any crossing limbs or something that have grown over the summer. So one of the things we're looking for is places in the bark that are not right anymore. You can see this bark has real smooth lines in it until you get into the middle here where there appears to be some chips missing, and that's kind of unusual. Maybe a woodpecker or something has found a borer in there and it's been digging or doing something. One of the things we're going to do then is do a kind of a sound check on our tree. And so if you listen to the solid wood, you get a good solid sound. But you get into this area here and it sounds different. And you can see that the bark is moving and falling apart. So we're going to peel it open here and see what we can find, and see if the tree is getting worse or if it's already over the problem and is healing. We don't want to leave this loose bark on here because, just as you saw there, some sort of insect just ran out, or something with a lot of legs or something just ran out. We do want to keep this area clean and disease-free, so we don't want it to stay wet and damp, and it'll stay wet and damp as long as that bark is covering it. And so we do want to chip off the loose bark and find out what's underneath, because it could be a disease problem, it could be an insect problem, it could be a mechanical problem if something just has bumped into the tree, it could be a Sunscald issue. So we can scrape out any loose material in here, and that way the solid material underneath can be dried off. There's nothing obvious here for insects or disease, and since it is on a southwest facing side, I'm assuming that this is more of a Sunscald issue, where the bark warms up in the winter time because the sun is shining on it in the hot afternoon, and then just within an hour, as soon as the sun sets, the bark goes back down to a very cold temperature. So this section of the trunk starts to grow. The cells all start to become active when the temperatures get up into the 60s and 70s, and that's what happens when the sun warms this side. You can feel this side is warmer than this side, even right now. And so what will happen is the cells over here will all start growing using the sugars that they're using for antifreeze, and so then when the colder temperature comes an hour later, those cells are not able to use that sugar as antifreeze, and then they split open and crack. It looks like that might be our issue here. It does not look like we have any carpenter ants or any other insect problems in here that have been following into the dead bark and consuming that material. It is a little bit soft in spots, and so there is some mold decay activity going on here. But at the same time, the bark tissue is growing across here. The cambium tissue, I guess I'd rather say, is growing and coming and healing the entire length of the crack here. So what we have is a healthy tree that is healing itself up pretty well here, and all it takes now is just to keep it dry. The loose bark on there was keeping this area shaded and keeping it damp because the water and the rains and stuff would accumulate under there and then not evaporate out. Now that we've exposed it to the air, it may not look as nice right now, but the tree is a little bit healthier right now because the decay organisms are not going to be getting into the solid wood of the trunk and decaying and causing this tree to be hollow. When you're walking around taking a look at your trees and do that little bit of a sound check, see what you hear, and then when you find a loose bark and a loose area, dig in and see what you've got. This tree is now going to be able to heal a lot faster and easier and won't have the decay problems. And this has been a Greener View. Thanks for watching.